It's the Daily Doug.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the Daily Doug. Thanks for being with me today. My friends, it is a Wednesday. We are continuing on in our metal week. I am pumped to continue on in this genre, and I'm extra excited today to return to the video gaming world, and we're going to be listening to a song off of the Doom soundtrack, and I'm happy that you are here. As before, I really don't know much about the gaming community, the games that are out there, and the universes that they represent, and so it's like jumping into uncharted territory, and I'm thankful to y'all for being kind and helping me along as I start to learn a little bit about this stuff. So we're going to be listening to The Only Thing They Fear Is You, and this comes to us from Doom, the Doom Eternal soundtrack. So this is only the second piece of music that I will be reviewing from the world of gaming. The first one was Virgil's theme from Devil May Cry 5. That was episode number 615, and we did that last month, and there were a lot of comments on that said, yes, good, Doug, keep going on the video game music, and lots of suggestions were put forth, and I decided to go with this one from Doom this time. And to build up to hearing this, y'all, I need to kind of set the stage a little bit because, as I have said, I'm not a gamer, and I don't have much context for the vast gaming worlds that many of y'all know intimately. So, Doom was launched in 1993, and it is one of the first pioneering first-person shooter games, and it has grown into one of the leaders in this genre. Fast forward to 2016, we get Doom 2016, which is an updated series, and the first-person protagonist is called the Doomslayer, and the player's job is to battle the evil hordes of demons and the undead to, save the day, save Earth or Mars or wherever it is that you are fighting the enemy. Doom Eternal, this soundtrack is a sequel, or Doom Eternal is the game that is a sequel to Doom 2016, and Doom Eternal is like its own follow-up game. And the soundtrack is composed by Mick Gordon, who also composed the soundtrack to Doom 2016. And so Mick is an Australian composer primarily working in the video game industry, and he seems like a guy who is really busy and really sought after to do what he does. In Doom Eternal, the narrative of the Doom universe starts to, continually is expanding, and the soundtrack does as well. The soundtrack was designed to be a continuation of the previous themes, but in a sort of ancient, alien heavy metal way on this album. That's what I read, y'all. And the soundtrack was released in April of 2020. I have been told that this song is one of the more well-known titles in the Doom universe, and I read that it is directly connected to the 6th level of the game, and I saw that there are some themes from Doom 2, which is Into Sandy City, and from Doom 2016, Dr. Samuel Hayden, that make a return appearance in this track and continues the story, and it incorporates previous themes. So, I've been talking long enough. I got to figure out what the hubbub is all about, y'all. This is The Only Thing They Fear Is You, and it comes to us from the Doom Eternal soundtrack. Off we go. That sounds like an aggressive bass. Some flat 2 in there. Boy, it's really hard to make out because it's so aggressive. Okay. Hear those half steps up there? It's kind of spooky. I think they're in E flat. right? The flat 2 in there. It's E flat minor, but they keep using flat 2 and the leading tone. Something new, but same tempo, and still in 4. It sounds so industrial. Drop it, come on. Playing with me. Playing with me. When's it gonna drop? Wow. Back to that theme. Almost makes it sound major for a split second. Woo, flat 6. 4. 1. They are in E flat. And it's hard to tell, like, what instruments are being used. It sounds completely electronic to me. I have nothing against that, but I was expecting, like, when I think metal, guitars. I don't hear guitars. I notice that it's staying in relatively the same tempo and in 4/4 consistently. Woo! Changed keys a little bit, like G natural and G flats and E's and E flats. It's hard to tell. It's not like a double harmonic scale, and I don't think it's Phrygian mode. It's just, I don't know what. Just all of these half steps that get shoved in there. You might be using set theory. That's a leading tone in both directions. I read that this is part of a famous meme, a Doom meme. And I haven't seen the meme, but it's something about, you know, when the Doom music kicks in and people's minds are blown. I can relate. Somebody is knocking at the door. One in. That's leading tone. Back to E flat. Right, leading tone in both directions. To 1. It's a combination of multiple types of scales. It's not octatonic. It's not harmonic minor. It's not Phrygian. It's just a combination of several things. And they're still knocking at the door. They must have had their morning coffee and they need to get in there. big skip. Yeah, unmoored. Unsure. Triplets. I looked for lyrics and it didn't say there were any. Okay. You know what, y'all? I have no idea how you concentrate playing a game with that in your ears. How does that even work? I would be going over and saying I need to phone a friend or something. It's really heavy. Isn't it? It's really heavy. Not any guitars, just a real sort of industrial, I think is the term or the adjective that I want to use there for how it sounds. It's just really dense and thick. I enjoyed it though. A couple things that I notice though. I'm a classically trained composer, and I think that I notice a difference between composing for a game and composing for the stage. Two completely different things. You're both, both are, you're getting music together for maybe even a narrative sort of thing. But let's talk about games. Game players are active participants, right? They are immersed in the story and the action. The music is written in service to that kind of usage, right? Where the player is focused on moving the game forward from a first-person point of view, and the music is there to fill out the atmosphere, the world in which the player is playing, right? And so there's not much development that I hear in a song like this. It's highly repetitive. It's a straightforward 4/4. There's syncopated rhythms, but there's a relatively consistent tempo, and it allows for repeated and continuous playing throughout the gameplay, dictated to however the player is doing in the game. If a level takes a shorter amount of time than it normally does, then the music ends. But if it takes a longer amount of time, I guess the music can re-rack itself, can repeat things, and it sound completely intact because of that, the way that it's constructed. If we compare that to music composed for the stage, concert goers are, for the most part, passive participants instead of active participants like game players, right? And so the concert goers are there specifically to be performed to. They're paying all their attention to the music that is being offered. They're not involved in the game. They're there specifically to see their band or their musician play a piece or a number of pieces, right? And so the music for the stage is also written for that kind of usage. And the same thing that I was saying about composing for a game. The music is written specifically for that. If you're writing for the stage, then you got to think about stuff like rhetoric and form. Because if you're listening to a piece of music and you're hearing it for the first time, if it just goes on and it's all new music the whole time, it's hard to get a sense of what the theme is or what the actual personality of the song is. So you have, like an A section, and an A section comes back, or here's a contrasting theme. We got changes in tempo that we can do, changes in meter, contrasting sections to give context to the different things that we hear. The development of things, everything designed to be maybe a specific amount of time and composed as a standalone entity versus being composed for a game. I'd really love to talk to some game composers and see if I'm on the right track, because that's the impression that I get from listening to something like this. It makes sense that this would be involved in a game because of the way that it's constructed. It's not something that I would expect to see on a stage. Completely different style, and it doesn't have to be classical. I mean, it can be, you know, a prog metal band composing something for the stage that they can play on their instruments to people that have come to see them play, versus a person at home who's got their headphones and has their game console and is immersed in the first person in this world, and the music goes along with it. That's really interesting. I need to figure out a gaming console to get and see if I can learn a little bit more about this stuff. The best thing I can do as far as gaming is the Wii console, y'all, and that's just I won't go into more than that. But it's a really fascinating style of music that I think continue to listen to and to get into, because not only do I not know the music, I don't know the games, y'all. So keep at me with your suggestions and your recommendations for the video game genre, and I'll see if I can get to more of these in the future. But that is all for today, my friends. Thanks for being with me, and we will see you next time on another edition of the Daily Doug.